So it looks like the Trickster and the brand new chapter are going to be getting a lot of changes. We're going to be talking about those changes and giving our opinion on if they're good or not. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm the King and welcome back to the channel. It's been a few days, almost 2 weeks to be in fact, since we posted a video. I've just been taking a little bit of a break, but we're back, we're refreshed, and we're ready to do our thing. Recently, Dead by Daylight have posted on Twitter some notable changes that they made to their chapter that is potentially going to be coming out on the 23rd. This is not confirmed by any means, but typically 3 weeks after the PTB is when we expect these chapters to come on out. So that's what we're speculating, and they've gone ahead and showed us some of the patch notes of what's to come, and we're going to talk about these changes and if they're good. Before we jump on into it, if you do enjoy the video, make sure you like it down below, subscribe for some more Dead by Daylight content, and we're live on Twitch right now. I'd love for you guys to stop by. With that being said, let's carry on and talk about some of the changes that they've actually made to the characters. So, they tweeted out, "We've remixed the all-kill chapter a little bit between the player test build and release. That's our way of saying we've made some changes. Here's a quick thread going through some of the most notable differences you can expect to see." This is great, because as we've been saying, there definitely needs to be a lot of changes to the killer and some of the perks, and we'll see how this is. So, they start off by saying the Trickster. Main event automatically throws blades when activated and can be cancelled early. So that is pretty cool. We now have main event automatically activating, or automatically throwing blades, I should say, meaning you don't need to constantly kick the button to just throw and throw and throw. You just kind of aim at this point, and the blades just keep going and keep flying, which is quite nice. And now you can cancel it early, so in any sense, whenever you need to cancel that power, you can. They also continue to say, during main event, your ammo no longer decreases, which is amazing. This was something that was a little bit of a no-brainer, because every time you go into main event, your ammo decreases, and then you have to instantly go and reload, so this one was quite nice. They then said that trick blades no longer deal bonus laceration, but instead award bonus blood points and ricochet twice instead of once. Now, this is an interesting change, because a lot of people, including myself, were saying that the blades need to have ricochet base, and that if it was ricochet base, it will be a lot better than it was. Now, they did just say that these are the most notable changes, so we could still potentially see that ricochet will be base on him, but as of these notes that we're seeing, we have nothing to indicate that. It just says that ricochet will now bounce twice instead of once, and you will also get some extra blood points rather than bonus laceration. They actually even gave us some footage of this, of showing the infinite blade throwing as well as the double ricochet, so that's pretty cool to see. They went on to say that they improved feedback on main event cooldown, which is quite nice. The cooldown was a little bit long, and the main overlying problem with it was that you didn't have the chance to activate it anytime you wanted. It was more just a set window of when you can activate it, and if you didn't activate it during the time, you weren't able to use it until you can reactivate it again. If the cooldown's a lot shorter, I do see this having a little bit of potential, but it's still not to the point where we were like, alright, you can use this when it's convenient. It's still going to be when it's available, you can use it, you can cancel early, and that's about it. So we'll see how that works out in actual gameplay sense when we get our hands on this. They also carried on to say improved visibility of laceration meter on survivors' portraits. So now you can see which survivor is about to go down and how much more hits you need on them. Typically it's 8, so instead of counting, you can actually see in the HUD, which is amazing. And then they said various bug fixes, which is nice. This PTB didn't have as much bugs as the twins, so that's a lot nicer, but there was still quite a few bugs, so I'm happy that they're going to fix those. And then they go on talking about some perk changes that we received. So before we jump on into the perk one, I want to talk about a little bit about the killer changes, and overall, I think these changes from what we've seen are okay. I don't think that it's going to make the killer necessarily really strong or even really viable. As it stands, the Trickster, in my eyes, was one of the weaker killers in the game, and I was waiting to see in the patch notes if they buffed him up a little to see where he would lie on the tier list. In fact, we'll be making one of those as soon as he's actually out. And based on these changes, he doesn't really seem the best. I still think that this isn't going to be enough to get him from all the way down there to push him up even to being viable in competitive red ranks. And although he is fun, I don't see a lot of people playing these characters, and that's kind of the issue that we had with some of the previous characters that came out, notably the Blight and the Twins. You get these really fun characters that are amazing, but fun doesn't necessarily translate to good gameplay, and especially when you're in the more competitive ranks, people tend not to play them because they just really don't do good. As it stands, a lot of people are debating that Twins are one of the worst characters in the game, and Blight had the issue with the POV. I personally like the Blight and think he's very underrated, but most people think that the Blight is not that good. And this may be the same case that we could see with the Trickster, because we're not getting the necessary buffs to make him even in the medium tier. But again, we have to wait and see and fully play test this to see if these changes would make him a lot better. If not, I'm sure they'll take the feedback, as I always say, and when mid-chapter comes around, they'll focus on them and buff them up a little bit more where it's required. Let's talk about the perks now. So, they said smash hit, the duration is now increased to 4 seconds, so a nice little change to the perk smash hit. They said self-preservation now also hides pools of blood and grunts of pain. So that's pretty good. That's a very nice change that we got to that perk. The next one on the list is Starstruck. I absolutely love the perk Starstruck, and we actually messed around with it a little bit with Monitor and Abuse, and it basically says exposed effect now refreshes anytime the survivor enters your terror radius, and the effect persists for 26, 28, and 30 seconds after leaving it. The cooldown is reduced to 60 seconds. So that's going to make for some interesting gameplay, especially with a lot of different perks. Can't wait to see the synergy that's going to happen with that. Might still be limited, but we'll see what happens. And the final notable change on the list is No Way Out. Now has a base time of 10 seconds, plus 4, 6, and 8 seconds for each token. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Those are the changes that we have to the PTB. For now, we are probably going to get more changes and more things coming out as time goes on, and when this is actually officially announced, you'll probably see all of the notable changes, and it will be quite nice for us. But yeah, what do you guys think about these changes? Do you think these are good changes coming out to the game? Do you think these are going to help the characters and make this chapter really awesome? Or do you think that this is another chapter that's just going to be lackluster and carry on to the next one? Let me know in the comments below. Personally, as I've been saying, I think we just have to wait and test these things out before we can give a full opinion. But as it stands right now, I don't think it's enough to make the Trickster really awesome. But we'll wait and see. As always, I'm the King. I tip my crown to you guys. We'll see you over on Twitch as we are live right now. Have a good day, everyone. We'll see you in the fall.